Barack Obama has lived the American dream. So is Mitt Romney. That's the genius of freedom in America. And that's the whole theme that you've heard here the last couple days. I mean, the reality is that Romney's success is something that we should be celebrating as a country. And we have a decision in front of us that says, do we need to make hard choices about stop spending money that we don't have, curbing in entitlement systems that are clearly broke, or do we want to continue to go down the road of more happy talk and no fulfillment?
But how does that break the plutocrat narrative, though? Because that's where wealth is tied to government. So, of course, he's done well. I mean, there's no bones about it. He's done well. He wants to run away from that by not talking about Bain so much. How do you break the plutocrat narrative?
Well, lots of ways. You obviously need to talk about, your life and your story and your success in life. But let me give you an example that most Americans don't know about. When Mitt Romney was running Bain Capital, one of his partner's kids disappeared in New York City. He shut down the entire company and moved the entire company to New York on a search and rescue mission for this missing child who they found after 4 days. It wasn't something he took credit for. It wasn't something that is, something he championed, but it shows the inner character of Mitt Romney as someone who cares about others, is empathetic to the plight of other people well above self, and that's played out a lot of different ways.
That's empathetic, but isn't that also in the book called The Real Romney, and that it was reported that he was in his 30s when he did that, and that was the first time that he ever saw a bad neighborhood. When he moved to New York.
It's
in the book.
It's
in the book, The Real Romney, and also Matt Taibbi wrote about it in Rolling Stone, saying that it was the first time that he had ever seen a downtrodden neighborhood and thought to himself, oh boy, there are some bad places around here. That was in his 30s.
I can't even quantify that or justify it, Thomas. I just think the premise is silly to say that Mitt Romney, hasn't had exposure to lots of different cultures, lots of different places around this country, and doesn't understand after a long and hard-fought presidential campaign for the Republican Party.
Did you read the book, The Real Romney?
I don't read. I know The Real Romney. I don't need to read the book by Matt Taibbi to understand Mitt Romney. I worked for him for 2 years, and I've had a chance to see him do lots of things behind closed doors that tell me what I need to know, that this is a man of character, kind heart, and conscience who will do a great job leading this country.
Yeah, I guess I might agree with you that he is a man of good heart and kindness and conscience. I know that there will be some language about his faith tonight as part of shoring that up. But I would just say that as much as that story is certainly a story about someone who cares, it's also a story about someone who's empowered to shut down a company. And I think that that's part of the kind of disconnect that for ordinary Americans, the idea that you would show your compassion by being a person sort of with enough resources to, of course, shut down a whole company is still that it's not a sympathy question. It's not a question of whether or not Mitt Romney can be sympathetic. It's a question of whether or not he has empathy. In other words, a kind of firsthand knowledge, understanding about what the kinds of struggles that ordinary Americans are facing right now. And just from not a judgment on him as a human being, but on the campaign as a political strategy, being able to get that discourse across, I think that the strategy thus far clearly seems to not work.
Hands down, tonight is going to be a big night for Mitt Romney, and a lot of people